Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at the Falcon Eyes. This is the SO-28TD. Now, full disclosure, I did buy this with my own money, so these are my own honest and brutal opinions as always. Now, this panel will cost you about 150 bucks, and let's jump right in and take a look at what comes inside the box. Now, first off, you get this very nice padded case. The straps do look like they're starting to rip away, but they are okay. They will work, and you get very nice zippers here, very strong zippers, and a very nicely padded case here. Now inside you are going to get this foam, and I am both a fan and not a fan of this foam, and I'll talk about that a little later, but inside the box you do get the light itself, you get the instructions, and you get a power cord and a power box here. And of course it is a tape recorder, old school one. Now I will probably never use this. Now you don't get the Sony NPF battery, but there is actually a slot for you to put one in, which is very nice, but this is sold separately. So what exactly is a flapjack? Well, it is a light where the LEDs are sort of around this ring and they point into the center, and there is some kind of reflective material in there that bounces it into this white diffusion, which creates a very nice soft white light. And I have always wondered about these. This is actually the first one I've ever owned. And I have to say I am, a little spoiler alert, I am quite impressed. So let's take a look at build quality. Now first off, this is all metal. You have a nice piece of plastic in the center here. The yoke is all metal. You get this nice plastic knob here. And then you get kind of this cheap quality backing here, but that's fine. But this is also all metal. You get a ratchet system, which is very nice, so you can point it in any direction. And I like it over than when they use other kinds of systems here. And you do get a little spigot at the bottom, and there is a 1/4 right here in case you want to take off the yoke and just mount this by itself. And of course you get a Sony NPF battery with a nice battery release. Now, Gerald Undone actually found a secret on this, and underneath this battery is a place for AAAs, but there are no contacts. So obviously they use this for, they were using this backing for another one of their lights and just decided rather than basically just to reuse parts that they already had. Now, I actually can't get this off, so I don't know how he got it off, and I'm not gonna try. On the back, you do have the V-mount with a nice release. You get a barrel connection, a 15 volt to 3A. Yes, that means with a D-tap cable, you can plug in a V-mount battery. And then you get your on-off switch here. Obviously this way for when it's plugged in, and this way for on battery. And as you can see, an absolutely beautiful screen, which we will get into. Now, the only thing I don't like is this spigot, which I may replace because it is very difficult to get this mounted on certain light stands. It's just very, as you can see, it's very difficult to get that on. You have to almost completely unscrew this and force it in, so I will most likely be replacing this. But there we go, it is all set up, very cool. Now let's take a look at the controls and everything else here. Now, when we flip this on, as you can see, this has a fantastic screen. Not only is the screen nice and bright, you can see it from multiple angles, which is really terrific, but also it is a touch screen, and look how super fast this thing is. Incredibly fast, incredibly responsive. I do not understand why all manufacturers don't make screens like this, touch screens like this. This should be the industry standard. I do know that Rotolight makes them like this, but really love the screen here. It gives you an accurate battery reading. You get multiple channels, so you can connect panels, and this thing goes from 3000 Kelvin all the way up to 5600 Kelvin, which is very nice. And as you can see, this thing is pretty stepless. So very nicely done. And of course you go from 100% to down to 0%. So very, very cool. And you go up in increments of 1 here and increments of 50 here. So very, very, very nice. Okay, so here is the panel at 100%, and you can see it is massively, massively bright. So very, very cool. It is a very nice, bright, soft light. Now, let's take a look at it at 50%. And here we are at 50%, and as you can see, this thing still is uber bright now. having it this close, I've actually been using this around 15%. So let's go to about 15% and see how it looks. But before we do that, here's a quick look at 25%. And here is about 15%. So as you can see, this thing is super duper powerful. And of course, if you wanted to, we could just take a white bounce card and just stick this off to the side to fill in the other side of my face, or even stick this underneath to kind of bounce. But as you can see, this works incredibly well. Very, 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 very cool. That this is a very nice soft light, a very big light. Now let's talk power and power consumption. Now this is a NPF, I believe this is a 770. If you get the 790s, you could run this thing for hours. I think people were getting roughly like an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours on the biggest batteries. But don't quote me on that. Do your own testing because every battery is different. But these are so small and so light, you could bring a whole bunch of these with you and just power this all day. I most likely will never, ever, ever, ever touch the power cord. One, because you have to roll this up exactly right to get it back in, so I don't want to bother with that. And two, I have so many Sony NPF batteries, there's no reason to ever plug it into a wall for me. So there you go. That is the power consumption. And yes, there is a barrel plug, so if you get a D-tap to barrel connector, and you can put this on a V-mount battery. Now, I cannot find my connector right now, so take my word for it. So let's go ahead and throw this thing up on the wall and just we'll just take a look at some of the color temperatures and things like that. Okay, so here we are. We are shooting at a 24 frames per second, a 23.976. We are at 180 degree shutter, and we are at 3200 Kelvin on all my cameras, which is the native ISO for this camera. And we are at 5600 Kelvin, and this is at 100%. Now, this does look a little green to my eye. The TLC and CRI, which I know isn't very accurate, that's about 95, but you should still get very nice skin color and quality. So let's go ahead and take a reading here. And I'm getting a 2.85, and I'm getting about 7001 lux. Let's go ahead and, there we go. I'm getting 7,401 lux, which is what I've been getting in all my other testing. So let's go to 4200 Kelvin. And let's take another reading here. And we are getting let's double check that. And we are getting a 2.87 at 8001 lux. And then let's go down to 3200 Kelvin. And we'll take another reading. And we're getting a 2.86 at 7401. So as you can see, this thing on either end is pretty even. It does have a little bit of a boost in the center when you get to about 4200 Kelvin, but this thing remains pretty even. The brightness remains pretty even as you go through the color temperatures, which is a huge plus and very rare to find on something, on any kind of panel. So you really do not lose that much power whether you're at one end or the other. There is just, like I said, a little bit in the center. So very, very cool. That is a very nice feature with this light. So where do I stand on the Falcon Eyes SO-28TD? And I am very impressed with my first flapjack. I initially kind of avoided these because I wasn't sure how they worked, but I am just super impressed. Now let's talk negatives, of which there are very, very, very few. Now, the main thing I don't like is this. This is just a little bit too, like I said, too small. This is just bolted on. I'm probably going to replace this. I just have a really hard time putting this on other light stands. And this knob is kind of cheap at the bottom here. So I will most likely be replacing that as well. And the other negatives, this button back here, I'm not a huge fan of. I can definitely see this, something hitting this or me breaking this and then having to use like a screwdriver to turn this on and off. So that is an issue. And that is, I think, pretty much it. Let's talk about the case for a moment. Now, with the case, the straps are okay. I could definitely see where the threads are starting to rip here. And I love this, but I'm also not a fan of this because you have to make sure that everything fits perfectly in. And I know the minute I unroll these are not going to fit perfectly in, which is why I'll never use them. Probably just leave them at home. But I do like the fact that you do get extra padding in here. I just wish it were a little bit easier to put this away. But all in all, a very, very, very nice case. From the negative to the positive, and there are a lot of positives here. Now, let's talk about the build quality is absolutely beautiful. Even this back plastic thing, I don't mind. It's pretty rigid. I do like the fact that you can control this, which is very nice. It's not a Rosetta adjustment. It is a ratchet system, which I love. And it's just made really well, produces really fantastic light. The batteries, you can run these off Sony NPFs or even a V-mount battery because yes, there is a barrel tap right there. So that is super awesome. Really love that, love the quality. The fact that at 5600 Kelvin and 3200 Kelvin, those are pretty even light quality wise on either side. You do get a little bit of boost in the center, but it's not huge. So this thing is pretty solid straight throughout, which is very, very, very nice and very rare. But very, very cool that works like that. Another thing is I absolutely adore this screen. Every manufacturer should have a screen like this. This is phenomenal. Really love the screen. I think it's great. And that's about it. I have to say, for my first flapjack, I am very impressed with this thing. And who is this for? Everyone. If you're doing films, interviews, if you're doing YouTube, if you're doing Zoom meetings, this is a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic light. Yes, you can use this as a key light. I am very, very surprised that you can, but it works. Other thing I just want to throw in that I like is you do get this quarter 20 in case you want to take the yoke off. You can just quarter 20 it to something. But all in all, the Falcon Eyes SO-28TD is a fantastic light that I highly recommend. Like I said in other videos, look, Dad's getting old. He doesn't want to have to carry a whole bunch of 300D Mark IIs around, and this is definitely going to save his back. So that's it. Those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to mash that bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below, as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and this is new to me.